But we never get our vision off of the children. That's why we're all here. That's what's unique about this ministry opposed to so many others, is that we are focused on something no one else is focused on, and it's children. I go to Africa quite often, and recently when I was there, I heard one of our African workers tell a story. And I'd like to share that story with you because it illustrates what this ministry is all about. He said that in Africa there was a school, and he said this school was built on the top of a mountain and on the edge of a cliff. And he said the school was a good school and they taught the kids well, but he said that when the kids would come to school, sometimes before school or during recess or after school, they'd get too close to the edge of the cliff, and every so often a child would fall off the cliff. When the child would fall off the cliff, they'd be injured and they'd be hurt. And they'd have to go down and get the child, and they'd have to put him on a stretcher, and they'd have to take him to a clinic, but the clinic was in the next village. And so they had to go a long way to the clinic, and oftentimes the child was in much pain, and even sometimes the child would be lost on the way to the clinic. And so the people in the town, with these children getting hurt and some even dying, they said, we've got to do something about this. We can't have this school with these children falling off the cliff and getting hurt, so we must do something about this. What are we going to do with all this tragedy that's happening? And they decided they had an idea. They said they would build a clinic at the bottom of the cliff. And the reason was that when a child falls off the cliff, they can run over and they give the first aid to the child, they can get him into the clinic, and they can get the child and they can save the child's life. But there was another voice in the town that began to cry out and said, we don't need a clinic at the bottom of the cliff. A clinic's good, there's nothing wrong with a clinic, and we need clinics. But what we really need is a fence at the top of the cliff. And we ought to build a big, strong fence at the top of the cliff, and the fence will keep the children from falling off the cliff. But you know what happened in the town? So many people were excited about the clinic, and they're so interested in building the clinic that they never could get too many people interested in building the fence. And when you lived in this little town, there was a few people that quietly worked to build the fence, but most of the people were busy building the clinic. I hope you get the message that the African gave when he told the story, because we are some of the few people that quietly labor to build the fence. There's lots of people building the clinic. That's why God's called you to CF. That's where you got to put your heart, your resources, your time. We're in the business of building the fence.